Representative Quam, since you're a member of the committee, I'll let you move your own bill and then proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would move House File 3672.
And we are laying it over. Your bill's before the committee. Please proceed.
Well, basically, for many years, I've been on a Legislative Audit Commission of where we see during the audits what agencies aren't doing quite to standard or should be doing to do a better job. And frankly, with all of the increased focus on audits, I talked with Ann Rest, who's the chair of the Legislative Audit Commission, and said we need to have the auditor sit with the revisor and do a lot of clarification so that it's less likely people in different agencies are going to say, oh, we misunderstood what we were supposed to do. Correct things that are missing, such as you can't go to work for a person you've given a grant to days after you gave them $700,000, which has come up in an audit. So everything in this bill is from past audits in order to ensure that our agencies are doing the full and appropriate activity that they're supposed to be doing. So if there are specific questions, the auditor is here because my point with Senator Rest was we have the auditor work directly with. And for years, there have been comments made by members of the commission that we as a legislature need to tighten up these rules that cause problems. So I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Representative Quam. Is there anybody that would like to testify on the bill? I see someone coming forward. Once you get there, if you would, please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Good morning, Chair Nash, Chair Claiborne, and members of the committee. My name is Betsy Hayes. I'm an Assistant Commissioner with the Department of Administration, and I'm here to make some brief remarks on this bill, House File 3672. Sections 5 through 11 of the bill amend provisions of Chapter 16B, which address grants management practices administered by the Department of Administration through its Office of Grants Management. These changes enhance the authorities and duties of the office. It bolsters reporting requirements. It strengthens agency monitoring responsibilities. It increases training mandates, and it lays out limitations to avoid conflicts of interest. So these are all items that we support, and in some cases already require through policy or procedure. We appreciate the OLA bringing these items forward, as well as appreciate the ongoing collaboration that has been developed between the OLA and the Office of Grants Management. The one section that I do want to call out that has raised some concerns is Section 3 of the bill related to payment oversight. This adds a section in 16A which makes all appropriations, allocations, payments, or other transfers of money from the state to an entity that is not a state agency or political subdivision subject to all the grants management requirements contained in Minnesota Statutes Chapter 16B. We believe the language as it's currently written covers a much larger scope than what is intended, resulting in a large fiscal impact and conflicting regulatory overlap. I'm happy to say more about our concerns in greater detail if there are questions, but in the interest of time, I'll just say that we are committed to working with the author and the OLA to go over the details of this particular section to help develop language that aligns with the intended protections. And in fact, we do have a meeting scheduled with Auditor Randall later on this week to do so. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to stand for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Chair Claiborne, are you asking to be recognized?
If I could, to Ms. Hayes. Ms. Hayes, could you please, one, talk about grants management and grants as contracts? That's one piece. And then a second, could you talk about 16B and 16C, if you don't mind? Thank you.
Ms. Hayes?
Mr. Chair, Chair Claiborne, could you please repeat that first part? Talk more about,
So,
Chair Claiborne?
thank you so much, Chair Nash. So over the interim, you know that I worked with a large working group, and we talked about individuals referring to grants, right? But grants, generally speaking, are a type of contract, right? They aren't just dollars given out for entities to do whatever they want. There's a requirement that services or something is in return for that consideration. So one, I would like you to just kind of talk about how grants are reimbursements, generally speaking. And then two, I have concern about the conflicts maybe that exist in this bill between Section 16B and 16C. If you could discuss those
Ms.
things.
Hayes?
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Claiborne, you're correct. Grants, you know, there are distinct types of ways that the state expends its funds. Two in particular that I'm most familiar with are the practice of issuing grants, and the other is through procurement. Grants are covered in provisions of Chapter 16B, and as you mentioned, are typically reimbursement-based. There needs to be a legislative authority to issue the grant, and it's generally given to a third party to where the impact goes outward to third parties. Procurement contracts, by contrast, are more inward-facing. They are contracts that the state agencies enter into through authorities in Chapter 16C for services and commodities and other construction, for example, that the state requires. The differences are important, I think, and a lot of the focus, particularly with the fraud issues, are on another type of payment that aren't covered by Chapter 16C or 16B. In this particular situation, the overlap here in that Section 3 is that it could capture procurement, for example, and it's seeking to apply the provisions of Chapter 16B to things like procurement payments. And so that's kind of the regulatory overlap that I mentioned that we want to help revise the language with the auditor to clarify.
Chair Claiborne, follow-up, or?
No, I just want to thank Representative Quam. I think the intent of the bill is good, right? And I think it opens up further discussion, and I appreciate the fact that administration, you representative, and the OLA are willing to continue to work on this, and I'm glad we're laying it over so that we have time to get that work done. So thank you very much.
Ms. Hayes, thank you very much. Representative Quam, any further?
Basically, I was contacted last week, and my direction was for them to directly work with the auditor on the language, because I want something that is not the, let's get in front of cameras and do our talking points, but something that was just focused on the actual details. And that's why they're connecting with the auditor, because frankly, with years of experience and seeing what has been done and not done, I think that expertise is needed. And so I will continue to work on this and thank the committee for the hearing.
Chair Quam, thank you. And with that, House File 3672 is laid over.